Hello, this is John with theologyed. This video, we're going to get into a lot, okay? Actually, it may turn into a series of videos. We are going to look into why and when the elites, quote unquote, say we should leave the USA from film. And I'm going to follow three sort of lines of argument or three paths of information that we are given. I am not going to be talking about the iPad Go 2 element very much. It'll come in almost certainly, always does, because it's connected to the overall story of what's going on. However, we're going to look at the Get Out and Us films. We've talked about these a lot, but we have some I've made some discoveries. I've found some new things that are really interesting and important and help us make sense of some of the stuff I was even confused about before. And we're going to, when I say you remember when I talked about Antebellum, I said get out of the U.S. Antebellum, and I talked about that like it was Jordan Peele. That wasn't Jordan Peele. Get Out and Us, he was obviously a creator of those films. However, he had nothing to do with Antebellum. Antebellum was Sean McKittrick, who also was a co-producer of Get Out and Us. So we have a line, what I'll call the McKittrick line. Get out of the U.S. before the Civil War. Get out the U.S. Antebellum. That's McKittrick. Then we've already seen, and we'll be talking about more, the Jordan Peele line. Get out of the U.S. And then we had Candyman and Nope. And I've done an analysis of Candyman. We've seen these three. And we still need to do a detailed analysis of Nope. I've talked about the trailer, and there is more in the film. And so that's going to be coming in this sort of little series as well. And in addition to Jordan Peele and McKittrick, Sean McKittrick, who both were involved in Get Out and Us and then have their own separate lines, one to Nope and the other to Antebellum, is Jason Blum. Okay? And so here are the two lines. Here's the McKittrick line, Get Out of the U.S., McKittrick, Antebellum, Get Out of the U.S., Peele. And then we have Jason Blum. Look at what he created. If you think this is a coincidence, oh, Get Out of the U.S., you're reading into it too much. Remember, Get Out, right here, has the date in it. This is the lunar font and the date of the lunar eclipse, right there in the gematria. Here's the annular eclipse font and the date of the important annular eclipse in June of 2020, the solstice eclipse at that time. And we have this in Get Out. And then in Us, in the movie Us, we're explicitly told the Us, U.S., is Americans. It's the Americans, right? Remember when this underground family comes and shows up at the house, and they come in, and Jason, the boy, says, he's looking at them, he says, it's us. And then his dad, Gabe, says, what are you people? He asks them what they are. Now, what are they going to sell? How are they going to self-describe? We're Americans. Us, Americans. Get out of the U.S. That's what it's about, and that's why you have the 9/11 here as well. It's in relation to a coming 9/11 attack, right? So there's your dates from 2020 and the Get Out of the U.S. But if you think it's a coincidence that it's Get Out of the U.S., maybe we're reading into it too much, going on to the next films by these creators. Oh, maybe that's nuts. You're nuts, John. No. Look at what the next one is. This is about getting out, right? Just like we have Get Out, Us, and then in Candyman, the girl goes into the laundromat. She says nope, and then she can't get out. And then we hear his next film is Nope, not a coincidence. Look at what we have with Jason Blum's line. Get out of the U.S., you should have left. That was his next one. Why? The Hunt is coming, and we're going to talk about The Hunt and Freaky. And he actually has other ones that have things to say that are very interesting and on topic here, on point after this as well, including one, Black Christmas, which is focusing on some of these very same themes we're going to find in these films. But The Hunt, what is The Hunt? The Hunt is a film in which left-wing liberals who are very wealthy set up a hunt for killing off conservatives for entertainment. That's the hunt. Okay? Get out of the U.S. You should have left. The hunt is coming. The hunt for the people who are going to be accused of being right-wing conservatives, and so on. Okay? And it's going to get freaky, and I'll talk about that. This is very, very interesting. In fact, it was this film that I was going to start with and just explain a lot. But then I was digging in, and I started to look at this. I was like, wait a minute. Blum goes straight from the get out U.S. we should have left path. I mean, this is so clear. And then you've got, so we've got these three paths. Get out of the U.S. Why? Civil War coming. Get out of the U.S. Why? The bee sting leads to also disease, but also you have the uprising of minorities. Remember the Black Lives Matters patch on the backpack in this film, and Candyman summoning Candyman is really summoning the uprising, the revolt against oppression, to respond to the oppressors and overthrow them, and this sort of thing. It's the rising of Candyman, okay, for vengeance. But you get this in relation to the bee sting and his transformation biologically, right? He becomes like a new person, even getting that horrible rash on his skin and his skin like rotting away and dying off. And then finally get nope. There comes a point where you just can't get out anymore. Get out, U.S., nope. And this seems to be related to somewhere around the November eclipse in 2022. Here, get out, us, antebellum, before the Civil War, and then get out of the U.S. You should have left. The hunt is coming. And then we get Freaky, which this movie Freaky is also going to have very interesting connections to the final scene of I Pet Go 2 and also the November full moon. Because in this, there's an eclipse. They represent an eclipse ritually by the clouds blocking the moon at the exact moment of a sacrifice that he performs on top of a pyramid. The sort of the villain, the serial killer in the film, on top of a pyramid at the time of an eclipse. Where at? In the middle of Beaver Stadium or something, like the football team. It's on a football field, and at the stadium is for the team, the Beavers. Okay, and what is the November full moon? It's the Beaver moon, and so they've got the Beaver moon represented and the sacrifice. And that film was very interesting to explain in relation to this hunt of supposedly the white man against minorities and the other way around. The minorities responding and finally taking out the white man. And there's some very interesting lines there in the film about that tie it to the same theme of racists, extremists, right-wingers, this sort of stuff, okay? And so what you have is get out of the U.S. before all those oppressed people rise up and finally get rid of and overthrow or go after the horrible right-wing conservative people characterized frequently as sort of the white person or the white man. Of course, throughout these films, there are exceptions. There are women. There are also minorities of various categories, demographics that are maybe exceptions to the rule, and because it's not strictly speaking black, white, or gay versus straight or anything like that in these films. What it is it's trying to represent liberalism and conservatism as enemies. And what's coming is a type of purge of the right wing, I think, is the way this is supposed to be heading in their plan. A conflict between the two sides. So get out of the U.S. before the Civil War, when who? The oppressed, in this case, kidnapped black slaves in the film, rise up against the oppressors, who are white males, with some white females, including their leader, who is an elected official, okay, who had difficulty in his election and was going to have to go through legal processes to defend his to get a victory in an election. That guy's the leader, and it's the uprising against him and his supporters. That's what that film's about. Under a full moon. Okay, so that is an uprising against, I think, representing the supposed or alleged Trump supporters and the white supremacists supposedly, and racist and all around bad guy Trump at the top. And everybody who follows my channel knows I don't support either side politically. I don't like Trump. I don't like Biden. I don't like any of these people. I think people in power right now, if they have any influence at all or near the top, it's because they are easily controlled or a part of a group that is actually not looking out for the interest of any of us. And I think conflict between two sides, violence, hatred, and the types of things that they're pushing, this type of division is not good, not godly, and we should be resisting with kindness and being better people than the suckers who are going to fall for this. So we don't want to be those guys. All right. But anyways, the point is, it's get out of the U.S. before the followers of the politician who's unwilling to accept a loss in an election get overthrown. And then we get out of the U.S. We've already talked about that. Get out of the U.S. before the hunt of the conservatives. You should have left. If you didn't leave, you should have, because this is what's coming. Okay? And each of them is connected to a full moon when this happens, when it starts to happen. And in this case, this was released this year. Nope. And when they start saying nope, no, 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 what was it? It was when the apparent UFO, whatever it is, eclipses the moon and flies off, and they're saying nope, no, 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 no. Okay, and that next full moon eclipse or lunar eclipse would be in November of 2022 after this release date. We have here the eclipse, a beaver moon eclipse associated on top of the pyramid. We have an IPEC-02, the shot at the pyramid in Scorpio of 2022. And we're getting this theme throughout. And then, of course, Antebellum, the full moon is featured prominently and repeatedly in relation to the time when the lady who had been kidnapped escapes and kills her master, goes after. She actually kills the politician who was elected, not elected, he was a senator and he was having difficulties in the election, or whatever. Well, anyways, she kills him and burns him alive under the full moon. And I believe the smoke of that burning sort of goes in front of the moon again. Now, what you have here is could be metaphorical, of course, for an indictment that leads to the tensions and the uprisings. It doesn't matter, but what we're looking at, and again, things don't all happen in a day. Even if this is all pointing to November, if you look at the IPEC-02 scene where the shot is taken at the pyramids then fall for like what would be in that chronology at that end, probably for 2 or 3 years. So you're looking at it beginning, taking off around November 2022, and just getting worse for months and months and months, ups and downs, and so on. And in Nope, it's the four horsemen. It's not just civil unrest. It's civil unrest, possibly indicated along with war, along with death and famine, all these things, right? That's the idea. So we're going to go through these films. I'm going to redo Antebellum. Look at that again. We're going to dig into Nope. I'll go over some of the Hunt. I'll do a deeper dive into You Should Have Left. I had the trailer and analyzed the trailer in 2020, but I'll do a deep dive into You Should Have Left. Very interesting, and I'll do a deep dive into Freaky. That's the plan in this series, and really interesting stuff. And the fact that there's 3 lines that each have similar themes, same themes, and seem to point to roughly the same timeline, or at least possibly the same timeline, communicating the same reason, more or less, or for getting out. All fascinating, and that's why we're going to dig into it. Okay, so that's what I have for now, and we will go through these different paths, the McKittrick, Peele, and Blum path, to understand why they're saying get out. Like, subscribe, share, and take care.